Ooh, it's real
Or
green.
magenta.
It's magenta.
Oh my goodness. That's nice.
Now, our on live camera, I don't know if that's coming through on the television or on our online view. It's clean, but that's
Yeah, I think.
bizarre.
I don't have any cable. 95 is not broadcast.
Ooh.
And what I see is the green screen. Howard, you look very good with those magenta highlights.
Thank you.
I fixed it.
There you go.
I fixed it.
Thank you,
There
Amy.
you go.
Thank you, Amy.
Turn
I
it
just
on,
hit
turn it on.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay,
The,
let's go. Good evening and welcome to the January 24th meeting of the St. Mary's County Planning Commission. Our meeting is being recorded for the public record. Any comments made by anyone present must be recorded as part of the record. Therefore, if you have anything to say, you must come up to one of the microphones provided, and when giving testimony online or by telephone, please give us your name, followed by your statement. Your comments cannot be recorded and placed in the record unless they are done in this fashion. You are to direct your statements, questions, and responses to the board only, and we will direct them to the appropriate person for an answer. Please keep any comments to 5 minutes or less. Anyone testifying or asking questions during our public hearing will be required to take an oath, and we thank you for your cooperation. On our agenda this evening, after the review and approval of the January 10th minutes, our one public hearing this evening is number CSP 21-0137. It's the Oakcrest PUD Center, Phase 1 and 2 Revision Concept Site Plan. Following that, this evening we'll have a discussion on the comprehensive plan update. At this time, I'll let the board members introduce themselves, starting down on our left.
William Hall,
Patty Robrecht.
Howard Thompson.
Joe Van Kirk.
Joe Fazekas.
Joe St. Clair.
Also with us this evening, Mr. Merle Evans is calling in by Zoom. And our county staff with us this evening is Mr. Bill Hunt. He's the Director of Department of Land Use and Growth Management. His planners, we have Courtney Jenkins, Brandy Glenn, and Kimberly Wood as our administrative coordinator. Amy Carter is the savior of the evening. She is our video media producer. Also from the, from the county attorney's office, we have assistant to the county attorney, Mr. John Hauser's here. From St. Mary's County Metropolitan Commission, we have Mr. Andy Balkin. And from the Department of Public Works and Transportation, we have Mr. Donald Mills. Also with us is Sabrina Heck from the Department of the Navy. Let's see. Did everybody have a chance to review the January 10th minutes? Is there any corrections, deletions, additions? Do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
We have a motion by Mr. Fazekas
Second.
and a second by Ms. Robrecht. I'll do roll call. Mr. Van Kirk, you're first on the list tonight. Mr. Van.
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Fazekas?
Aye.
Ms. Robrecht?
Aye.
Mr. St. Clair?
Abstain.
Okay. Mr. Evans?
Aye.
And I vote aye also. Okay, moving right along. Our first case of the evening is a concept site plan CSP 21-0137 for the Oakcrest Center Phase 1 and 2. Action requested is a review of a concept site plan for 7 office, warehouse, and storage buildings totaling 311,880 square feet. All persons that will be testifying this evening or making any statements are in the audience. If you would at this time, I'll go ahead and get everybody sworn in. Okay. Do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements that you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you. Okay.
Right.
Courtney, take it away.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Planning Commission members. Agenda item 1 is a concept site plan CSP 21-0137 for the Oakcrest Center Phase 1 and 2 revisions. The concept site plan seeks approval for 7 office, warehouse, and storage buildings totaling 311,800 square feet. The site is located at Oak Crest Road in California. The land use is mixed use, medium intensity. And the zoning is medium intensity mixed use district, MXM, PUD with the AE4 overlay. Use type 63 is offices of firms or organizations providing professional, executive, management, or administrative services, such as architectural, data management, engineering, interior design, graphic design, real estate, insurance, investment, law offices, physicians, dentists, or chiropractors, including medical, dental, laboratories, incidental to the medical office use, emergency medical care offices, and communications facilities located entirely within buildings. This classification excludes financial institutions. And use type 80 is long or short-term storage of goods or materials produced off-site within an enclosed building prior to their distribution to wholesale or retail outlets. It excludes discount clubs and similar establishments engaged in retail sales of bulk items. The uses allowed in and development regulations for development in the medium intensity mixed use zoning district are intended to create large-scale and clustered commercial and residential uses adjacent to existing or planned principal transportation corridors, mixed-use non-residential developments, and mixed-use developments of residential and non-residential users are possible. Per the comprehensive plan, development districts are primary growth centers located in Lexington Park and Leonardtown. They are to be urban in pattern and form, designated for intensive residential, commercial, and industrial development, supported by priority for provision of community facilities, services, and amenities. The public notice for the Planning Commission public hearing was published in the Southern Maryland News on January 7th and January 14th. The property has been posted in accordance with the CZO requirements, Section 21.3.3. Certified mail receipts have been received and have been entered into the record of this public hearing as Exhibit 1, and the agenda was posted on the website on January 17th. The concept site plan was reviewed at the TEC meeting that was held on September 22nd, 2021. The subject property is part of the Oak Crest PUD, which is the governing document for this development. The use of office number 63 and warehousing and storage, use type number 80, are permitted uses per the Oak Crest PUD and in the medium intensity mixed use zoning district. For all non-residential and multifamily residential projects that require major site plan approval, a concept site plan shall first be approved by the Planning Commission before the major site plan may be processed for approval by the planning director. This is a public hearing which enables all who wish to provide information to the Planning Commission. In order to approve the concept site plan, the Planning Commission shall make the findings that the proposed development is consistent with the comprehensive plan and applicable functional plans, may be served by adequate public facilities as required by Section 70.2.2, will promote the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, that is adequately developed, recreational and other community amenities are provided in accordance with the comprehensive plan and the comprehensive zoning ordinance, consistent with the Chapter 62 design objectives. There are currently no outstanding issues, and this concludes staff's report and is entered into the record of this public hearing as Exhibit 2. Representing the applicant is Greg Hosendorf with Soltez, as well as Mr. Longmore, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have for me at this time.
Does anybody have any questions of staff at this time?
Thank you.
Just waiting 1 second for Mr. Evans in case he has said anything. Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open it up to the applicant. Mr. Longmore, are you speaking for the applicant this evening? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a PowerPoint that we're going to ask Courtney to pull up, if she could.
You want to introduce your fellow board members here?
Sure. And we're going to, I'll be happy to do that. So the PowerPoint, if we just go to the next page, I'll run through with the names in front of you so I can introduce our team here tonight once we get to.
Trying to. Okay.
I can start. I mean, to my left is Andrew Roud, who's if we go to the second slide, Courtney, thanks. To my left is Andrew Roud, who's a regional partner with St. John Properties. He's here representing the applicant. He'll say a few words at the beginning about the project. And one of the other representatives from the applicant is Kenneth Finley. He's in the audience tonight. He's a project engineer available for any questions. Nicholas Brader, to my right, will be doing the primary, I was making sure Nick was sitting next to me. We'll do the primary presentation of the site plan tonight and answer any questions that you have. As mentioned by Ms. Jenkins, Gregory Hosendorf is here by Zoom tonight. He's another engineer that's working on the project and is available as needed for questions. And Jackie Chandler with Traffic Concepts from Hanover, Maryland is here to discuss any traffic issues you may have. She's a traffic engineer on the project. And of course, I'm here as the attorney assisting in the presentation tonight. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to Andrew just to say a few words in general about the project, and then we'll jump into the PowerPoint slides.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for letting us out tonight. Just want to give you a little update, not going to say very much. When we were before you last time, we were talking, well, that was the South Star, but the three Plex buildings that are under development, Building A and B that you see on your site plan, they're both completed, and Building C is partially completed. A and B represent about 46,000 feet each, and C is 28,000. I guess the good news is that in Building A, right now, we're under tenant improvement construction for roughly, let's see, 10, 15, about half of the building. So Building A is being fitted out right now as we speak for tenants. One is at about 85% complete, and the other two are around 20%. And I can't tell you the name of the user, but we are talking pretty substantial discussions with Building B for a single user for that entire building. So it's better than we thought. A lot of them are defense contractors, as you can imagine. So it seems to be, might be working down here. So with that, that's really all I wanted to give you a little update on what's going on in the field.
Okay. Thank you. And of course, Andrew will be here for any questions as we go further into the presentation. If we could go to the next slide. I know the Planning Commission is well aware of this project because we've been in front of you quite often over the last few years, but this is a plan unit development. The original plan unit development was adopted in 1990. And in 2004, there was a minor amendment clarifying the process we go through for concept site plan applications. That's a process we're here engaging in this evening. Since my client acquired the site, there's been a lot of development on there. Some that are not listed here, as I know everyone knows, is the cinema that's located on the property, and also the Aldi that is in the process or is almost done expanding its use because it's been so successful at that site. More recently, we've been in front of you 2 years ago where the Lafarge site was annexed into the PUD as we were before you in May of that year. And as any of you that have driven by the site can see, there's been a lot of site work done, and it's really opened up the site, and I think has made it look very aesthetically pleasing, and it'll even more so as the development continues, we think. So we think that was a good move for everybody that was able to be completed. We were before you last year in June for a minor amendment to the PUD where we had presented you with a chart of all the uses that are allowed in the PUD and had your confirmation to confirm that they were consistent with the modern uses found in our zoning ordinance. As you'll recall, the PUD allows any uses that were allowed under the 1974 zoning ordinance in 3 different categories. And we provided a list of those to you and what we thought were compatible current uses, and that was adopted as a minor amendment by this Planning Commission last June. And we're now here seeking a concept site plan approval in accordance with the plan unit governing documents that I've just gone through. So if we go to the next slide. Ms. Jenkins already walked through this. This is a concept site plan criteria. This is the criteria we need to meet that was adopted in that 2004 ordinance that set forth the process for getting approvals in the site, that we follow the site plan process. And the only note I'll make for the record is that the annual growth policies, I know the Planning Commission is aware, is no longer, or is not in effect at this time. So that will not be applied. So it's the other 5 criteria that we'll need to meet tonight. If we go to the next slide. This is an excerpt from the original plan unit development report, the one that was adopted originally in 1990, as mentioned. As you can see on that map to the left, that was an excerpt of the tax map showing a portion of the project, and we've highlighted it to assist the Planning Commission, the public watching at home or in the audience, of which part of the plan unit development we're here talking about tonight. You can see that hatched area that's brighter yellow with red hatches on it. That's the area that we're here seeking the concept site plan for tonight. You can see the area below that is the Lafarge area that was annexed into the PUD that did not used to be colored on our prior slides, but since it's been annexed in, that's now part of it as well. And if we go to the next slide, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Nick, who's going to walk through the site plan that we're here discussing tonight. And of course, we're all here if you have any questions. So Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. This plan is a page from the overall concept plan for the PUD for Oakcrest Center. The yellow area is the actual Oakcrest or Lexington Exchange site. The shaded blue area is the South Star property. The green shading is the Lafarge plant. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a slide showing our overall development in the colors. The yellow portion are the 3 buildings that are either constructed or are almost constructed. The RC movie theater is shown, the Lafarge paving plant and South Star. And then on the other side of Wildwood, or other side of 235 is the Wildwood Center. And then to the south is the Aldi. Next page, please. This slide shows the area bounded in yellow that's going to be disturbed for this section of plans. It shows the lot lines for the 7 lots that are in there, and also shows in yellow buildings A, B, and C that have been mentioned previously. Next slide. Okay. This is the good plan that actually shows the development that we're in for tonight. The 7 buildings shaded in brown, and the paving area shaded in gray. This is basically an extension of the same 3 buildings that have been built already into the site. It's the same building type. It's loading areas in between, and the car parking areas out in front. Let's see. There's sidewalks out in front of all the buildings that'll be extended out to the existing sidewalks from the buildings that are built that are connected to the sidewalks at Oakcrest Road that lead out to 3 Notch Road. This site, I'm going to cover a couple extra things on this site plan because it's so easy to see everything, and some of the detailed engineering plans maybe we'll go through a little quicker and stop if there's questions on it. It's just easier to see because it's broken. The detailed plans are broken up in a couple different sheets because it's such a big site. It's just easier to see everything, I think, on this page right here. The overall site received concept stormwater management approval in 2015 and identified the outfall points and actually drainage areas that went to those outfall points. Our plan is consistent with that plan. The little blue shaded areas that are kind of all around the outside and a couple bigger ones are 33 microbiome retention facilities and 3 submerged gravel wetlands, which satisfy our stormwater management design. The sewer is extended up Oakview Drive and will actually drain down to a pump station that had been constructed but is currently being redesigned and upgraded at the end of Oakcrest Road, right before the cul-de-sac on Oakcrest Road. Water lines are being extended from Oakview Drive up into the development as well. And if you look at the site, there's 3 pairs of 2 buildings each with the truck loading in between it and the car parking out front. If there's any questions about the layout, this will be a good slide to ask the questions about.
Do you have any questions?
Okay. Next slide, please. These are some photographs that we showed previously that are typical flex buildings. Next slide, please. Those are pictures of the actual buildings, I forget building A or B as they were being built and mostly completed. And like I said, they will be the same exact construction and look that goes forward in the rest of the development. Next slide, please. These are the architectural elevations of the same buildings showing the front and side views. And next one, please. And same architectural elevations, but showing the back side of the building and the side. And if you look at it, you can see there's some parts of the back of the building that are set up for truck dock height access, and other parts where you can drive straight into it, just kind of leading to the flexibility that's built into these buildings. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the cover sheet of the actual concept site plans that have been submitted and reviewed. This sheet shows the site data for each of the 7 lots, indicating that we comply with all the zoning regulations. If you want to go in and look at all the words and numbers there. Next sheet, please. This is the note plan with notes and details on it. The main point of interest on this sheet is the trip generation takedown chart, which is used to indicate where we are with respect to the required road improvements per the adequate facilities agreement. If you go through the numbers, the first 4 buildings can be built with the Phase 1 improvements that are already constructed. And then the other 3 buildings would have to wait for the Phase 2 road improvements to be constructed. There's a slide at the end that shows the summary of those road improvements. And if there's any questions about that, it might be good to get that slide up at the end. Next page, please. Okay, thank you. This is the overall site plan, which is just the non-colored version of what we had up before. The rectangles around it just shows that there's different sheets that cover the different areas just because of the size of it. Probably going to zip through a lot of this since most of it is on that colored site plan sheet. So let's just maybe go through the slides kind of quickly, and if there's any questions, we'll pause to stop at that. That's existing conditions, 1 part of 3 of it. Continue, please. More existing conditions, just showing the land that is as it exists today. Another part of the site, same thing. The concept site stormwater management plan, just a detailed engineered version of the colored drawing showing the grading and utilities. Another part of the site. And that's just the 1 building that's by itself without a shared truck loading just because of the dimensions of the site. Next, please. That's the stormwater management drainage area map that shows the 30-some microbiome retentions in this 3 gravel wetlands that were colored in blue on the colored sheet. Next, please. That's the concept sediment control plan, the first sheet of it, showing perimeter controls to filter the sediment during grading operations. We'll, of course, need a detailed sediment control plan approved by the Soil Conservation District when we prepare our final plans. A continuation of that as well in the next sheet. Continuation as well. This is a plan showing cross-sections that, per the regulations and the checklist we have to take through the site to show the buildings in relation to the topography. The next sheet shows the actual sections themselves, which if you look at it and kind of show how we had to grade the site, level it out a little bit to accommodate the buildings. The buildings are 1-story buildings, so they're not big, huge rectangles there. Next page, please. The concept landscaping plan, there's 3 sheets of this as well. All the landscaping that's required is provided, and the next 4 sheets show the actual plantings and identify the numbers of planting materials. Next, please. And that's the ones that shows all the counting, the numbers of plants. Next, please. This sheet shows, like in highlighted dark lines, the sidewalks that are constructed with these 7 buildings that connect into the first 3 that are built, or mostly built. The next slide shows in various color codes the sidewalks. The first red at the top right of the sheet shows the sidewalks that are built with the first 3 buildings. The yellow shows the sidewalk constructed in front of the Cinema and along Oakcrest Road that goes out to Oakcrest Road. And then some of the other red shows the future sidewalks that'll be constructed with Lafarge and the South Star sites get developed. Then there's a blue section that shows the connection across 235 to the existing sidewalks at Wildwood. Next slide, please.
While you're there on that sheet, real
back up,
quick,
please.
who's responsible for that sidewalk that goes from Wildwood across the street to y'all?
Another team member is working on that part, and I will defer to either Ken or Greg as the status of that. What do you think?
Could you come up to a microphone? Give us your name, please.
Ken Finley with St. John Properties. That sidewalk's a county DPW capital improvement project. And I believe Soltez Greg is also working on that.
And Ken, you're speaking about only the blue section shown on the slide, correct?
Only the blue. We are building the pedestrian signal and crosswalk across the highway. So St. John Properties is going to be constructing that. And that plan's approved. We're probably going to do it this spring.
Okay.
And the areas going across Oak Crest Road and then across 3 Notch, those are going to be striped as like pedestrian
Yep, with the signals.
zebra striping? Okay, thank you.
And then the blue one's being done by the county. They had to require property.
One more question. It's hard to see on the yellow where it comes out of the movie theater, and then it looks like it comes down and it crosses Oak Crest and then continues just north of the Aldi on the southern side of Oak Crest. When the other 2 properties in front of the barge and the other one are completed, is the sidewalk going to be, it looks like a short distance to be connected to keep it on that side?
Yeah, sidewalk ultimately will be on both sides of Oak Crest Drive. But because we haven't done the development yet for the South Star pre-plant or the Lafarge or those 2 vacant pads right in front, the sidewalk just hasn't been put in.
But it will be
Will be.
when they're finished out there?
Yes,
Okay,
correct. Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yep.
Anything more on this sheet? Okay. Next one, please. Okay. This is the sheet that shows the overall road improvement phases, basically. There was a adequate traffic agreement that I mentioned earlier that covered different improvements for different levels and different numbers of trips. The red shaded area were the Phase 1 improvements that were constructed in 2016. The blue shaded area were the South Star and Lafarge improvements that are just about complete now. I think they're waiting on increase in temperature so they can finish the striping. The yellow shaded area are the Phase 2 improvements that are currently in engineering, and they would need to be constructed prior to the last 3 buildings that are part of this concept site plan. And I believe that is all, so if there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Which is what you just showed, the last section, the yellow? Are they going to wait until they build the last 3 buildings, or are there plans underway for them now? What's the status of that?
The plans are been prepared or being reviewed from State Highway, so they're in process and diligently being pursued for approval.
So it's not necessarily that you're going to start 4 buildings and then wait till they're done and then start constructing that so you can build the last 3. It'll just be done whenever, I mean, I'm not saying tomorrow, but it is plans to be, when it's ready, it'll be done.
The first 4 buildings will be constructed as the road currently exists. I'm not sure of what the actual construction timeline is for the yellow improvements, other than that the plans are being prepared and will be approved hopefully shortly.
Okay.
And who's constructing that? Is that State Highway?
No, that'd be the obligation of the developer to construct before the last 3 buildings could be occupied or built, or whatever the requirement is, I think.
Are you the guys that get to talk to all the property owners along there and saying we're paving in?
I'm actually not working on the plans. If there's any specific questions about those engineering
I
plans.
was just curious. I wouldn't want to
I
be that
think a
person.
lot of the work can actually happen inside the existing right-of-way. So there hopefully won't be that much to the individual owners.
It's one of the improvements that's mentioned in the recorded adequate public facilities agreement that Nick mentioned earlier that I know is part of the staff report. So that's been in the plans for some time.
I would think that that improvement would somewhatly calm down that little section right there where people are jammed, they got to get that lane, they got to come up that outside lane right now to get into that second. Once that's smoothed out, that's going to really make a change on how that traffic flows in between, won't have a bottleneck and won't keep doing that. Things will come back.
We certainly think that will occur as well and hope it will. And you can see this area 235, as I know the Planning Commission knows very well, is very important for lots of reasons. It's a main thoroughfare in and out. Wildwood is a very large community, so it opens up the road for them, and with the airport and all the economic development that's occurring there to diversify our economic base. We're proud to be part of that and kind of opening up the road there, because we just see that continuing to thrive as another second economic engine of the county.
Looking forward to it. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
There was something I didn't quite, it was on slide 8. It was about the disturbed area for the project.
Oh, sure.
And it looked like there was a section that was kind of going beyond the phase 1 and 2, and maybe going into phase 3. And I don't know if you could just discuss that, or did I misread? That little yellow kind of sticks beyond the property lines, or the.
That is an outfall, a storm drain outfall that has to be built per the original stormwater concept.
Okay.
You've got to snake all around the site to get to a level point. It's Public Works and Soil Conservation, we're out in the field looking at places where we actually should put the.
Right. So it's the most logical place to do that. And that would then tie in with the phase 3 and 4 stuff later, I guess.
Yeah, the phase 2 and 3, we're kind of using the traffic levels of improvements, so that they kind of go across the lot lines a little bit. It's more tied to the phasing of the traffic improvements is sort of how we're tracking that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll close this part down and open it up to public testimony. If there's anybody in the audience, which I don't think there is this evening, that was going to speak. Do we have anybody on sign-in sheets? Okay.
No.
You want to check and see if we have any calls in with Kimberly?
Hi, Ms. Wood. Do we have anybody on hold that wishes to speak?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And hearing none, I'll go ahead and close public testimony. And Chris, was there anything? Nothing?
No, we appreciate your consideration tonight. As you heard from Mr. Rout at the beginning, it's been very successful. This building type is being well received by the business community. We think these will hopefully have the same success that's here, and it's it will be a successful continuation of what's being built out there. We're glad to see the project moving at the pace that it is, and we appreciate your time tonight. We'll defer to the staff report on their addressing of the 5 standards. I'm certainly here if you have any questions for it. I will note for the record and just ask that I believe the staff report is made part of the record, and all of the agencies have signed off on it. So with that, unless you have questions, we appreciate your time tonight.
I have one more. It's back to my same question about the yellow improvement from number 2. Has it begun where they've started negotiation for any property that's needed, or talks, or, I know you said the plans are underway, but I guess my question is any property acquisition needed?
Do you want to?
Defer.
Yeah, Ken Finley again with St. John Properties. We were able to do all improvements into the median, so we did not have to acquire any off-site easements or right-of-way.
Okay.
The plans are not approved yet, but we've been through a couple reviews with the state, and we have not received comments to make me think that it's going to be otherwise. So that's a great news, because we will have it planned and permitted, and as soon as we get to that threshold, we'll be able to start the work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Root?
Yeah, just, I made a bit of a mistake. There are actually 4 leases that have been signed for the first building. So there's 3 tenant improvements going on, but there's a 4th lease that's been executed. So that building is almost gone. And like I said, the second one, we're talking to someone right now on a whole building thing. And just to wrap up, I'd like to thank Ken Finley from my office quarterbacking this, and he speaks extremely highly of your staff and everyone down here. So shout out to your people, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close the testimony part up and begin any deliberations by the board.
I'll just add what I was saying before the meeting, that it's, I still find HUDs confusing. I mean, I understand them on a scholarly level, and, when we're actually talking about something like this, we originally approved in 1990, with zoning going back to 74. So this is I think the 3rd meeting I've been into where we talked about this, and each time I feel I'm wrapping my head around it just a little bit better. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It makes sense. PUDs in general, I think, because you're looking for a much larger thing, and rather than trying to, I guess, nitpick every single property and try to go, in front and try to get every single building done, you're saying, hey, this is the larger plan, this is the long-range plan for the property. So it's just not the typical kind of project that we see, in front of us. So each time one of these come up, it's always just like, oh, that's right, it's the PUD. And even staff have to notify us, it follows different set of rules. So I'm finally getting the handle on it, but it's been a while for me. It's been
Long range being the key word, right?
So I thank everyone for their patience with me as I, get used to it.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I have a couple questions for Ms. Chandler. I don't know if we're to that point yet.
We're way past that point,
Oh, well,
to be honest with you.
I was kind of waiting for the get to the traffic, a couple things, but, they really wasn't.
Well, I can put it this way, with Mr. Longmore's permission, I can open it back up, but then I'm going to have to open public testimony up again. Chances are we won't hear anything from anybody the second time, but
Let me see if I have anything that's really, some of my questions was about the section that he'd already answered, and about property acquisition in the takedown chart. See that? And I asked the sidewalk question, so no, I think I'm okay. Thank you, though.
thumbs up there, thumbs up. Okay. Y'all had a good presentation, seemed to be coming along. I was glad to hear about the sidewalks and just hearing it from you about going from Wildwood to the other side. I know we had a former board member that was very concerned about that, and I'm glad to hear that Mr. Mills and Public Works taking care of their part. You all are taking care of your part. So that answered my questions. Does any board members have anything? Mr. Evans, you out there in the world, you got any questions for this? Do you have any input during our deliberation?
I don't have any questions, only to say I listened to Mr. Fatsikis' comments with regard to the PUD. And he's right. I mean, people sometimes look at PUDs and have heartburn with PUDs. The reality of it is the PUD's as good as the documents. And so moving forward, it's nice to find a PUD that gets built out sort of in a meaningful way. It's good for the community. You know, the addition of that lane will take care of, as you described, you know, from 4 to that location. That'll take care of an enormous amount of issue in that section. And it's also good that they were able to get the property carved out of the median. Hopefully, that will move forward without a lot of angst. So, but that's really about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Well, if there isn't any, Mr.
Only thing I want to commend also, I've sat and watched this PUD for a long, long time from the previous commission as well. So I was glad to see you all reach back and get the crosswalk so that the people from Wildwood could also enjoy the movie theater and they could walk there. That was a prior concern as well. And I'm glad to see the county stepping up as a particular project to do the other part in connecting the sidewalk. So I think that I commend you all for that. You've lived up to everything that you said that you would do, and we're looking forward to the completion of the yellow section, which was my main concern, and I think everyone else's, and I think you addressed that very well tonight. I thank you for that.
There are no more deliberations, so I'd like to entertain a motion from somebody.
I can go ahead and do it. You're going to do it?
Huh? Go ahead.
Okay, in the matter of concept site plan number CSP 21-0137, Oak Crest Center Phase 1 and 2, having accepted the staff report and having made a finding that the objectives of Section 60.6 Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance have been met, and noting that the reference project has met all requirements for concept approval, I move that the concept site plan be approved with the following conditions.
Second that motion.
You want me to tell you what the
You want?
following conditions are?
Let her go ahead and read the conditions
Okay.
into the record.
First one was any road improvements required by the state and county must be concurrent with the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. The $198,768.57 traffic mitigation fee in lieu must be paid prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. St. Clair. Write these little things down. Okay, do a roll call. Mr. Van Kirk?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Fatsikis?
Aye.
Ms. Roebuck?
Aye.
Mr. St. Clair?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Okay, I also vote aye. Thank you all this evening.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Do you need a copy?
Okay, and let's see. Moving right along, we have a little discussion on the comprehensive plan update.
Commission members, I'll make this brief. For the comprehensive plan update, the community survey results that were presented at the December 13th meeting have been added to the comprehensive plan update website under new information for the general public to view. And we will continue to post updates there as we continue to go through the process. As you know, as part of the update process, the county is forming teams of experts for each element in the comprehensive plan. We created an element survey to ask potential participants which element groups they were interested in contributing to with their knowledge and expertise, as well as their contact information and availability, which I know most of you have already completed. The survey's been well received with 70 participants registered so far. Due to the holidays and the weather, we decided to go ahead and extend the survey till January 31st. Once that's closed, staff will begin assembling the groups and will hopefully start coordinating those first meetings in February. Staff is also working with the Public Information Office to create an informational video for the general public to view regarding the comprehensive plan update and the process. And as we continue through the process, I'll continue to provide more updates and we can have further discussions on it. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Can you explain a little more about the group that has?
Sure, sure. So the comprehensive plan, it has 12 visions that are essentially kind of required by the Maryland Department of Planning.
No, I got that part.
And then within that, there are these 10 elements. And
I'm
so
talking about how do you sign, have you met many people sign up for it?
Yeah, we have so far. When we started off, we sent it to about 160 folks. A lot of them were from other boards or committees or, actively involved with the community that we received their contact information. So it was sent out to those groups. And then from there, we also reached out to other groups. And so far, like I mentioned, it's been sent to probably a little over 200 folks. And we just asked them, are you interested in participating in these element groups? If so, please rank which element groups you're interested in, whether it's transportation, housing, land use, economic development, water resources, things of that nature. So we're kind of letting, people from the Public Relations Council pick which groups they're interested in, and then providing us with their contact information and availability. And then we'll start kind of assembling the groups based on the different interests. And then we'll probably, what I envision is we will send them since this is a comprehensive plan update, what's currently in the plan for these different elements for them to review before we start meeting. And then most likely due to COVID, we'll probably try and do Zoom meetings as much as possible.
Do you have the farming community covered?
I believe so. I feel that we've reached out to a very wide variety of groups. And as I mentioned before, you should have that email.
That's your biggest community that's going to be affected.
Yeah, and if you have certain, and if you have certain folks in mind that you feel like would be great contributors to it, then you can feel free to either provide me with their contact information.
I'm just surprised that
reach out.
You don't know that there's an ag community that whether they have submitted it.
No, I mean, I'm well aware that there is an ag community, and we have reached out to a lot of different environmental groups, and as well as I think there are some folks from the NC Farm Bureau who have signed up. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's been a long list with trying to represent as many groups as possible.
Good. Thank you.
Sure.
And just to add to the people watching this delayed on YouTube, or because I don't think it's broadcasting right now. Anyway, you can get to this from the county's website. It's one of 6 banners they're currently cycling through on the homepage, and you can read all about the update right there.
Yep, and there's a link right to the website update as well as my contact information. If anyone wants to reach out, we're happy to talk to them, and we've talked to several groups already kind of going through the process. And that's why we're also doing the video as well.
Yes, sir, Mr. Balkin.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't received anything. I don't know if my colleagues have, but myself, Christy, and George Erickson would like to participate in any of these committees that we can that deal with the water and sewer for the county.
Yes, absolutely. I know Chrissy has signed up. I can't
Okay,
remember
good,
who
good.
else has off of the top of my head, but yes, I would be happy to forward the email to you as well tomorrow.
No, Christy's fine. She's my boss.
When will, I've heard about some people who signed up and they said they haven't received any information from you, well, any return contact from you all.
Well, we sent the original email, went out in early December, and then there have been multiple other emails sent out with different groups. And then on January 10th, I sent another email to everybody who had received the original email stating, if you haven't signed up yet, we've extended the deadline to January 31st. If you have already signed up, please,
I'm speaking to people who actually signed up.
Right.
They signed up and they said they didn't receive any information from you all confirming that they be able to participate or saying any or giving any further instruction.
Sure. Well, hopefully that email that went out on January 10th kind of clarified that we've extended the deadline, so the survey's still open, so we're still collecting, those potential participants' information. Once that closes, then we'll kind of send something out saying, hey, it's closed, now we're forming the groups, you should hear something soon.
Okay.
Anyone who signed up, anyone who completed the survey, they will be asked to participate in several groups, and we ask people to kind of rank their top 4 choices with the goal of probably at least the first 2 picks they pick, they'll be a part of.
Roger.
Yeah. So we will be sure to follow up with everyone. But like I mentioned, it's still open until the end of the month, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion to,
Howard,
Merle?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Merle.
Yeah. Courtney, after the groups have been put together, and your dates are set, and they're going to create dates when they're going to do these meetings.
Right.
Will the planning commissioners get some sort of a calendar with regard to doing that? And if you're going to do a Zoom meeting, I know your predecessor, when we talked with Quasi, he sort of shared that that planning commissioners, not necessarily to participate, but to listen, sort of not participate, but more to listen in groups that they hadn't designated as their top 4. So will you provide us with some sort of a calendar and time frame for those kinds of things?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, when I did the survey, I sent back the top 4. But there would be other areas that if I had time, I might be interested in listening in on, just to kind of get together as much information as I could.
Sure. Yeah, I would be happy to put together a calendar and provide it to the Planning Commission with the meeting dates and times of the different element groups. And since
And
it'll be
just one
done
more
through,
question.
and also since it'll be done through Zoom, I plan on recording them as well.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, that's good. So, also, when the groups are put together, if in fact a planning commissioner were just to, sort of tune in, if you would, I think it'd be appropriate to let the members of that group know that planning commissioners might want to listen in, might want to participate. I don't know if that's appropriate, but.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's it. Thank you.
Anything else from anybody? Okay.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you all. We're adjourned.
Aye.